Your true love turned out to be a lie, a fading echo beneath a silent sky, a promise carved in trembling sand, erased by waves that destiny planned. I held your words like sacred light, believed your tears were pure and bright, but truth was buried deep inside. Inside the heart you tried to hide. You spoke of futures made for two, of whispered dawns in skies so blue, yet every vow you breathed to me was only smoke the wind set free. I walked with trust in open palms, dreamed of your smile, your gentle calm. But trust is fragile, glass so thin, it shatters when the lies begin. You said I was your only flame, the one your heart would always claim, but shadows whispered your disguise and tore the veil before my eyes. You built a world on sweet deceit, a fragile kingdom at my feet, and I, a fool with hopeful sight, believed your darkness was my light. The nights we shared in tender dreams now haunt me with their broken themes. For every kiss, each whispered plea was filled with quiet treachery. Your love was only borrowed truth, a stolen heartbeat from my youth, a melody that seemed divine, until I learned it wasn't mine. But even now I stand amid the ashes of the things you hid, trying to breathe, trying to see what part of love belongs to me. And though your heart was never true, the pain you left still feels like you, a lesson carved too deep to heal, a wound that time alone can seal. I wandered through the quiet night, searching for pieces of my light. The parts you took, the parts you broke, the parts still living in your smoke. The moon looked down with gentle grace, as if it knew my wounded place, as if it saw the tears I hide, the storm that rages deep inside. I asked the stars what love became, why hearts can burn without a flame, why someone's truth can turn to dust the moment you give all your trust. The wind replied with solemn breath that lies can mimic life and death, that some hearts hold a hidden door you never see until they're gone. I traced the roads where we once walked, heard echoes of the way we talked, but now those echoes cut like knives, reminding me of shattered lives. Your memory followed like a ghost, a shadow clinging to me most, a presence cold, a silent sting, a winter wrapped around my spring. Every smile that you once gave feels now like flowers on a grave, a beauty standing still in pain, a sweetness drowned in endless rain. I tried to tear your name away, but some names choose their place to stay, etched gently on the soul's soft wall, refusing to be freed at all. Yet with each breath the truth unfolds. Not every heart is meant to hold. Not every love is meant to stay. Some only come to fade away. Still, I mourn the dream we drew, the sky we painted bold and blue, the tender world I thought was ours, the quiet nights, the stolen hours. Now all that's left is memory's ache, a truth too heavy to unmake. And though your love became a lie, I'm learning slowly not to cry. Morning arrived with quiet feet, soft rays of gold, a gentle beat. Yet even sunlight couldn't chase the shadows you left in this place. I stood beside the window pane, watching the world forget my pain, while I remained in yesterday, where love had lost its only way. I brewed my tea, but it felt cold, no matter how the steam unrolled, for every sip reminded me of nights we spent in false harmony. Your voice still lingers in my mind, sweet words you crafted to be kind, but kindness wrapped in hidden lies is poison written in disguise. I tried to breathe the morning air, to scrub your scent from everywhere, but every breeze, each passing sigh, carried your echo drifting by. The world moved on, but I stood still, a soul unsteady on the hill, trying to walk without your hand, trying to rise, trying to stand. I asked my heart what love had cost, how much of me was truly lost, and how to find myself again. After believing in pretend, my heart replied with trembling tone, you love too deeply, not you're wrong. But some hearts bloom and then they break, so stronger ones can rise awake. I let those words sink into me, like anchors dropped into the sea, trying to find a place of peace, where memories fade and sorrows cease. But healing comes in quiet breath, in tiny steps, in gentle depth. And though your truth was made of lies, I'm learning how my soul survives. Now every dawn becomes a chance to rise again, to learn, advance, to let the past fall far behind, to cleanse the corners of my mind. For even pain can be a guide, a teacher in the wounds we hide. And though your love betrayed my trust, I'll rise again from broken dust. I walked through places we once knew, where laughter bloomed and dreams felt true. But every step became a wound, a memory I wished exhumed. The cafe where we used to meet still held the warmth of stolen heat, but now the chairs felt cold and bare, your absence heavy in the air. I traced the table with my hand, remembering how you used to stand, how your smile lit the dim cafe, how your lies warmed my heart that day. The ocean shore we wandered near still whispered tales I didn't hear, of warning signs that hid behind the softness of your spoken lines. I watched the waves collapse and break, as if they felt my heart's own ache. Each crash a truth I couldn't flee. You weren't the one you claimed to be. I closed my eyes and felt the breeze, a tender cold that touched my knees. And in that chill I heard your name, a ghostly echo wrapped in shame. I picked a shell, its edge so thin, fragile like the love we'd been, beautiful but bound to crack, unable ever to come back. I let the shell fall from my hands and watched it sink into the sands, a symbol of the broken past, of love that never meant to last. Yet as I walked away from shore, my heart felt lighter than before, as if each step was slowly freeing the part of me you once were stealing. And though the memories still remain, their weight no longer feels the same. For letting go begins the climb toward healing hope and stolen time. I whispered to the quiet sky. Night returned with tender gloom, a velvet hush that filled the room. And though the dark can feel unkind, it soothed the edges of my mind. I lay beneath the trembling light of stars that wandered through the night, and every star that crossed the sky felt like a promise passing by. I thought of how you used to say that love was meant to light our way, but how can lies ignite the dark, when truth alone can spark the heart? Your shadow flickered in my head, a ghost of words you once had said, but ghosts cannot forever stay. When dawn begins to chase them away, I let my breathing slow to calm. I touched the hurt with open palm and whispered gently to my soul, you lost a lie, not something whole. For losing lies brings silent peace, a quiet gift, a sweet release, the chance to rise, the chance to heal, the chance to feel what's truly real. I closed my eyes to gather strength, to stretch my spirit's fragile length, to let forgiveness softly flow. For all the things you didn't show, not forgiveness for your deceit, but for my heart that faced defeat, for loving more than you could hold, for stories left forever untold. The night embraced me like a friend, reminding wounds that they will mend, reminding pain that it will fade, like shadows in the dawn we made. I held the silence like a flame and let it cleanse your lingering name, until my heart began to find a sliver of its former mind. And though your love turned out untrue, I'm slowly learning what is new, that broken hearts still learn to beat, and shattered truths can still be sweet. Days began to move with grace, soft footsteps time could not erase, and though the ache was slow to fade, I felt my strength begin to braid. I learned to walk without your name, to breathe without your burning flame, to see the world in clearer view, without the fog I wore for you. Your memory, once sharp as glass, began to lose its grip at last. The edges soft, the shadows thin, like distant storms I'd weathered in. I passed the mirror one quiet dawn, and saw a face a little drawn, but in the eyes a spark returned, the spark of lessons deeply learned. I dressed my heart in calmer tones, in hope rebuilt from broken stones, and felt the whisper of a change unfold inside my inner range. The world outside had turned more bright, as if it sensed my growing light, as if it knew my soul had stirred to rise from every wounded word. I sat beneath a blooming tree, letting the petals fall on me, each one a symbol soft and kind of what I'd slowly left behind. I watched them settle on my knees, fragile dancers in the breeze, and in their touch I understood that healing blooms where pain once stood. I gathered courage leaf by leaf and stitched it to my quiet grief, until the sorrow in my chest felt lighter, gentler, more at rest. Your lie had once held all control, but now it loosened from my soul, slipping away like fading storms that break apart in gentler forms. The evening wind began to drift, as though it carried me a gift, a gentle hush, a quiet call, a moment where I felt no fall. I walked along the silent street, hearing my own heartbeat repeat, a rhythm steady, strong and true, a rhythm I once lost for you. Shadows stretched along the lane, but none of them resembled pain, for now the night no longer bore the heaviness it held before. A lantern glowed beside a door, its golden flame a whispered lore. And in that glow I saw my face, not haunted now but filled with grace. I realized how far I'd come, how much my soul had overcome, how lies that once had chained my feet now lay defeated in defeat. I breathed the world with open chest, my heart no longer in distress. And though your voice was once my guide, I walked without you by my side. The city lights began to shine, each one a sign that I was fine, that even sorrow learns to fade when courage dares to bloom from shade. I passed a place we used to meet, but didn't feel the old retreat. Instead, a calmness filled my veins, a quiet truth that broke the chains. I no longer asked myself why, no longer searched the endless sky, no longer held the broken plea of what you never meant to be. Your name became an echo small, a whisper fading in the hall, a distant past my heart outgrew, a story that I once lived through. I understood that love can fake, that hearts can give what they don't take, that some connections made of gold can still turn empty when they fold. But now I carried something new, a strength you never helped me brew, a power born from my own fight, a flame that rose from endless night. And in that flame I found my why, the reason tears no longer cry, the reason dawn now feels more bright. I've stepped beyond your borrowed light. I woke to skies of softened blue, a morning fresh, completely new, not weighed by memories of you, not pulled by storms I once went through. The air felt lighter on my skin, as if a new life could begin, as if the world had rearranged to show me how my heart had changed. I stepped outside with steady feet and felt the breeze, so calm, so sweet. And for the first time since you left, I didn't feel my soul bereft. Birds sang above in gentle lines, their voices forming subtle signs. That happiness, though slow to rise, can bloom again before your eyes. I walked a road of morning light, and nothing in me wished to fight. The ghosts that used to haunt my way, those ghosts grew fainter every day. Your presence, once a roaring sea, now drifted like a memory, a faded echo in the mist, a truth I no longer wished to list. And though you'd carved a painful part, you no longer controlled my heart. The wounds you made began to heal, their edges blurred, their shadows real. I found a bench beneath a tree, sat down and let my spirit free, and realized as time passed through, I'd learned to breathe without you too. No chains remained around my soul, no broken years to take their toll. As days moved softly into weeks, I found the peace my spirit seeks, a quiet calm, a gentle rest, where once a storm lived in my chest. The world regained its brighter hues, no longer painted with your ruse, no longer dulled by broken trust, no longer weighed by love unjust. I walked through parks where flowers bloom, and felt no trace of former gloom, for healing flourished in my veins. Where once you planted seeds of pain, a child laughed loudly by the pond, reminding me of joy beyond, the sorrow you had left behind, the shadows stitched across my mind. And in that laugh so pure, so free, I glimpsed the soul I used to be. Before your lies, before your game, before the night you drowned my flame, I touched my chest and felt the beat, steady, warm, and still complete. And though you tried to break its tone, my heart had learned to stand alone. I visited a quiet hill, where sunsets fall serene and still, and watched the sky paint streaks of fire that soothed the ache of old desire. Each color told a different tale, of strength that rose when trust would fail, of light that grew from darkest scars, of hope reborn beneath the stars. I let the wind embrace my face, a whisper from another place, as if the universe could see the freeing of my memory. I realized then, with steady mind, that leaving you was being kind, not to the love you failed to show, but to the soul you didn't know. For though your truth was dressed in lies, I learned to read between the skies. I learned that love must first be real, before the heart can truly feel. So now I walk in clearer air, with lighter steps, with fewer cares, with eyes unclouded by deceit, with hope untangled at my feet. And though you are my yesterday, I've stepped beyond your shadowed sway. For now the truth that sets me free is simply this: I'm finally me. The nights grew softer, shadows mild, no longer holding pain so wild. And though the moon remembered well the nights I wept, the tears I fell, it now shone kindly through the glass, reminding me that storms will pass, that every hurt can find its peace, that broken hearts can find release. I lit a candle, small and warm. Its flicker kept away the storm, and in that flame I saw a spark that hadn't dimmed despite the dark. The walls around me seemed to breathe, their corners letting sorrows leave, and every echo of your lie no longer made my spirit cry. I opened books I'd left unread, and let the words pour in instead, of voices lost, of false caress, of whispered dreams I'd come to guess. I walked along the river bend, where waters twist and then ascend, and watched them move without restraint, as if they too could cleanse the taint. I felt my laughter slowly bloom, like petals rising from the gloom, and though it trembled, though it shook, it was the sound that hope once took. I spoke aloud into the night. Your lies have gone. I've found the light. And even though the air was still, it carried truth against my will. For sometimes words are not for ears, but for the soul to dry its tears. And every breath I drew that night felt freer, gentler, full of light. I wandered home beneath the stars, past empty streets and passing cars, and in each step I felt the weight of sorrow lessen, changed to fate. Your shadow faded in my view, no longer binding what I knew, that love, though lost, can still inspire the courage to rise from the fire. And in that fire I came to see the strength that once belonged to me, the heart that lies cannot control, the soul that cannot lose its soul.